Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Operation Hats. It is now January 1941, turn 10. So, as you might notice as I'm scrolling out here, there's a lot of arrows on the screen. No, we're not going to war this turn. Not quite ready. There's some other things we have to prep first. Good news is, technology is not one of those. I just did my dice rolls on the Discord. I succeeded with a 12 for large ship construction, so I can now build heavy battleships. Improved factories was the other one I rolled. Got a 3. It's not going anywhere, which is unfortunate. I'd like to have that one before the end of the game. It's pretty useful as Japan. More so than long-range aircraft, I think, would be. But I've got the ability to roll on both now. So, quick overview. The US has moved out in massive force to the Atlantic. They've got all the transports in the Caribbean, interestingly. I'm curious why they're hanging out here instead of like up in New York. Possibly we could see a Mediterranean push coming. Their entire fleet decided to somewhat inefficiently escort A-27. I'm curious what the reasoning behind that one was. Because the German subs can simply raid here, or here, or here, or any other spot that's not A-27. Usually when you see the Americans go escort, they go and escort several spots along the line to help pick up some slack with the British. This seems to be much more in the vein of forward stationing the fleet, hoping that I would declare war and they could quickly sweep up and attack the German fleet this next turn. So we're not doing that. We are going to have that fleet stay nice and put. The British and the Italians continue to face off and just stare at each other. Nothing too interesting over here. On this side, however, the Deutsches Afrika Korps has gone way south and has invaded Belgian Congo thanks to some work in the Italians opening supply lines in Sudan. That has cut off all supply to the Cape Town factory because of the submarine here. The Italians landing in South Africa, coming from Egypt, and the railroad coming in from Belgian Congo being cut. I don't think Belgian Congo really need to be taken anyway because the rail only went through South Africa, not through, we'll call it Botswana. Can't pronounce the old name. The French have been also thoroughly blocked in on the African continent, with the Italians bombing, well, I actually think it was the Germans both times, bombing both ports, and so they no longer have a way to access their capital of Abyssinia, and so hopefully we should see the flow of reinforcements to the French crawling to a stop, because they have a lot of artillery sitting down there already as Lend-Lease. The Italian fleet can just hang out in the Mediterranean, doing really nothing else. The Germans have heavily reinforced the Middle East in anticipation of Russian treachery, including building a supply base in Syria with several anti-aircraft guns, lots of infantry. We could see a lot here. I'd expect that they anticipate attacking southern Iran to seize that oil money at some point and threaten the Soviet Caucasus. The Soviets were widely expected to attack Turkey, but intelligence was faulty, and that has not occurred this turn. I also think we're missing like 3 infantry in Istanbul, which is strange. I'll have to check the setup on that one. But so Turkey remains neutral, with forces pressing in on every side. Germans have begun fortifying the border now that Russia's broken the non-aggression pact, while the Russians just continue spamming Katyushkas into the general vicinity of Ukraine, which sounds very wrong when not said in a video game. Germans reinforcing the border. They made a daring raid on England. So the German raid on England went very well. They attacked northern England, captured the factory, destroyed the anti-aircraft gun and militia there. No losses to planes because they didn't bring any, and they managed to bring down the entire Royal Air Force in England. This fighter is a recent shipment from the Soviets, probably for the express purpose of taking back northern England. There's some waffling among Axis High Command over whether or not this fleet should go in port. Ultimately, we decided against it because we figured, something like that fighter was coming, and there's a lot of British forces in the Midlands. That's where they consolidated the main part of the Home Guard, leaving London relatively exposed. It's no longer as much used as a build-up site with all the bombing, and I think that the British would much prefer the Germans simply take it, give the Americans a bunch of extra money, and then immediately get smacked by this massive retaliation force. So we may see these German tanks come off the board. In fact, we most likely will see these German tanks come off the board. But they've also managed to hold Scotland. They have a new fresh wave of airborne training in Berlin ready to go. Norway remains unconquered, and the Soviets continue repositioning in Finland. Down in the Far East, not much has happened. The German fleet has redeployed their raider battle cruisers back westward towards the Mediterranean, with the dearth of Allied shipping in these waters. In general, convoy raiding was not very effective for the Germans this turn. I believe it's only $7 taking out the British up in the North Atlantic. The Mediterranean and East African lines failed miserably. But perhaps we'll see some improvement later on the Italian turn with some with possibly different tactics evolving here. In India, more of the same. Calcutta is absurd. The British have beefed up Malaya in response to the Japanese deployment of troops to Siam. I don't see why they thought that was necessary. Those troops were simply deployed there to keep them out of the maelstrom that is becoming China, where the KMT have gone on the attack, taking Sikyang from the Sikyang's up here. Sikyang from the CCP, and the Japanese airborne forces staged a daring, heroic raid on Sikyang, and ultimately were rebuffed with massive counterattack by the CCP, but it has delayed their outward march for at least 2 turns, because they'll have to return to Shanghai. So we're not going to do anything about that. We're going to let the KMT deal with their own enemies over here. I think they'd be quite happy to get some of their own claimed land back. We're content with what we've got over here, and we find no need to quabble in internal Chinese matters. And so we're going to go ahead and redistribute our forces out. The only final thing of note that happened this turn, before I get on to my moves, is the American fleet has decided that resting is not a good thing to be doing, and has set out for exercises around Hawaii, and have recalled the Asiatic fleet to participate in those. And so that is all on the way back. And yeah, it does seem, however, that the American High Command is favoring the Atlantic over the Pacific. So we'll see how that policy goes forward as America looks closer and closer to joining the war. So in terms of Japanese turn, before we get to that absolute mess of arrows, it is purchase units. So I have for instructions, hence some of the weirdness you see here. So we're lend-leasing a destroyer to the Italians. That's being represented by the submarine because it costs 6. We're buying a transport that's again being represented by the submarine, so the calculator works properly. We're buying a major port, which is being represented by this AA. This is an upgrade. There's some debate over whether or not upgrades are made cheaper by improved construction. I personally think they do, but the ruling is ambiguous. So we're going to wait and see if the developers get back to us on that. So for now, we're going to make it cost 4. If it's not, I'll keep $1. And that's pretty much about it. We've got 2 Marines, 2 infantry, 2 militia upgrades, 2 militia, and that will be all. I was really hoping to get this cruiser completed, but the Italians need the ships more than I do. So I'm going to quickly clean off the dummy units here so I don't accidentally pick them up. And then that goes. There we go. So we have 0 IPP remaining, unless that port is actually cheaper. Now, on to combat and non-combat movements. I don't believe we have any non-combat movements. We're going to leave Sikyang to the KMT to take, if they choose so. But we have a lot of non-combat movements, so let's go ahead and get started. Firstly, the GW36 is going to go on exercises in the Bismarck Sea over here off New Britain. So this ship can go 1, 2, 3. The light carrier division is going to come 1, 2, 3. They're going to be joined by a tactical bomber out of Hunan. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 tactical bombers out of Hunan. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the tactical bomber squadron out of Korea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They will stay there. And then, yeah. We might put something else there in a sec. Alright, so next set of movements. These 3 submarines from the South China Sea are going to redeploy into the Eastern Pacific, and they're going to go 1, 2, 3 to the Caroline Islands. The second fleet is going to come out of port and move to 1-2 to Palau. There's going to be a lot of troops sitting in Palau very shortly. The 2 light cruisers here are going to join. This is slightly tricky here. You know, yeah, that summer's not even in range. There's I don't know why I'm worried about this. There's no ships in range that can actually attack these carriers. Yeah, yep, everybody's out of range. All right. So the 2 light cruisers that I pulled over here are going to come join the main 2nd Fleet force. Over here, we've got this transport which is going to pick up 2 infantry and come over here to Palau. Sorry, not 2 infantry. A infantry and a mountain brigade, and drop them off in Palau. That leaves 6 infantry in Kwangtung. The 6th Fleet is going to pick up most of the 18th Army. We're going to pick up 6 Marines and 6 infantry for a total of 12 units. And, you know, why am I doing that and not just taking the other things off? Alright, leaving 2 artillery and 2 infantry behind. So Marcus, the 18th Army is going to come over here. I'm looking for a good spot to stick this. Let's put it here. That should be okay. Alright, so we'll add a mountain brigade and an infantry to that. The 6th Fleet's coming over. That is 4 transports, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 destroyers, and 2 torpedo destroyers, which are going to redeploy to the 2nd for my ease of navigation. Coming down from Japan, we're going to take 2 infantry, 1 marine from Kyushu, a destroyer, transport, and a torpedo destroyer. I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3. Come join the party here. Alright, let's. And then the torpedo destroyer joins 2nd Fleet. Destroyer join, and transport join the 6th. The 18th is over here in Palau. And then these 4 units, the 2 infantry and 2 artillery, are just going to keep staying put in Siam. Making sure that British Force Malaya doesn't get any ideas. Alright. Over here. I believe that's everything for that. This is where I do a quick count of how many units I've taken on a transport. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 transports. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 destroyers. That gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 4, 6 transports. Alright, we're good there. And then we can erase that little line right there. Alright. In land units for this turn, we're going to move the 41st Army down a little bit so it's just in a better spot for me. I could always stick these, you know, way off to the side, but I prefer to have them a little bit closer so it's easy for me to see them. So we're going to take this cavalry down here to Kwangtung from Shantung. 1, 2. This militia is going to stay here. We're going to take this transport plane and airborne from Rihi. Are going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into Siam from Shensi. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another transport and airborne. We need to set yet another army marker there. These 3 cavalry in Shenxi are going to go to Sichuan. I need to pull that extra round a lot. We'll clean this all up later. These 2 infantry. One is going to rail to Quangtung, and the other is going, yeah, it's going to come south here to Sichuan. Yeah. Let's clean some more of these lines up. These fighters I'm debating on. I'm going to come back to those. For now, over here, this transport is right there. We have a submarine here, and a submarine up here. This seaplane has a range of that. You know, I think I'm happy with that. Actually, no. No. You can live. You're going to be the chase down later. We're going to bring this back to Honshu. We have a much improved range. Yes. Yes, I think that's correct. Honshu it is. Down here, I almost forgot. We've got one coastal sub from P50 moving into I-12, and the coastal sub from P59 moving into P50. Yeah, so that's all except for these planes. And those are the tricky bit. I need to decide this real quick. Let's see. 1, 2. Up here we have 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, plus 4. 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1. So that is 7 times 4 is 28. Plus 4 is going to be about 32. This is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 plus retreats. Yeah. Let me check the British income. No, we're going to do it. We're going to take this fighter. Here, we're going to take these 3 fighters in Hunan. They're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Go back in Hunan. And they're all going to sit in Siam with the rest of the Air Force. And I think this fighter's going to stay in Guangdong. No, this fight is also going to come down. If this came to you once to attack Kwangtung and put themselves in range of my entire fleet, let them have it. I don't need the territory that much. So, let's see. We'll keep all those things there. That needs to get cleaned up in a second. Subs are moved, carriers are moved, subs are moved. Fleet is all stacked up nicely here. In short, my carriers are in P53. My normal submarines are in P46. My coastal submarines are on either side of Siam, and pretty much every single other ship in the fleet is P44, along with the 18th Army, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 infantry, 1 mountain brigade, 7 marines, and 1 militia, soon to be infantry. Alright. Actually, you're fine. Alright. So, I think that will be all for Japan this turn. That's all done. And now we move on to place units. So let's grab all this. Alright. So, first, this transport is going to go in the Sea of Japan, along with 2 marines in Kyushu. This infantry is going to go in Rihi. This infantry upgrade militia and infantry are going to go down here in Siam. So we're going to have 1 more infantry, 1 militia upgrade, which will give us another infantry, and then we're going to replace that militia. So we end up with 1 militia, 4 infantry, 2 artillery, 2 airborne, 4 fighters, and 2 transport planes. Over here, we got militia upgrade and a major port are going to go down here in Palau. So we're going to here, unlock that. Let's take a major port on instead. This militia will go in Kwangtung. And I believe that's it. Yes. No, I'm not going to change my buy right now. Alright, so, this Italian destroyer, since I'm not at war with anybody, there's no chance of interception. If people want to intercept me, go ahead. I will take it. And then we're going to put it in port in northern Italy with the rest of its friends, because that's really the only spot for it. Alright, actually, there's no major bases on this side of Italy, on this side of Rome. Huh, that's a strange one. Used to be a major port there, I thought. I don't know where Jinx wants it, but I'm actually going to put it in Lazio, because that way it can, all 4 of these can scramble to the Tyrrhenian Sea, and not just 3 of them, in case of British foolishness. So, we'll do that. Actually though, they can port strike there. Yeah, no, it's going up here. I'll ask Jinx afterwards, so if he wants it moved, but we'll leave it there. I think the port strikes are a greater risk than the need to scramble. Not that scrambling against the British fleet will do much. Alright, so that is all. There's a submarine here, so we're going to take another one of my submarine marker cubes and stick it up there, so I keep track of where it is, because those French submarines are absurdly hard to see on the blue. That will be all for today. So we'll go to collect income. I have 32 IPP. I'm going to just press the button to I'm going to recount that in a second. I know I'm at 32. That's not correct for Germany. Germany should be higher. So I'm going to recount that after this turn, and I'll put a note in the description where it should be. But so it's 32 plus 6. That will give me 38. Assuming that that major port did actually cost 4 IPP. So there we go, 38 IPP. Nothing much I can do for the rest of the turn. So I'm going to pass on to Davik. We'll see what his response is to this interesting conundrum in England. Thank you all, and goodbye.